Great catching up with Curtis Blaydes, who was supposed to fight last weekend at UFC Seattle. That fight is now moved to UFC 313. He's going to be taking on Rizvan Kuniev, and he's got the emojis popping up, which is cool. But Curtis, how you doing, man? How's everything?
Doing great.
There you go. It's all good. We can't figure out how to get rid of it, so we're just going to keep it going during the interview. It's all good by me. But we found out that obviously the fight was moved, but never really given a reason. Take me through why the fight got moved, because I don't think anyone really knows.
All I was told was my opponent got injured, and I guess whatever the injury had, they gave him a few extra weeks. It doesn't really bother me at all. It's easier for me to fly from Denver to Vegas than up to Seattle, and I still have the advantage of being in lower altitude. So. Okay. I'm all right with it.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's not like it's a huge change or anything like that in terms of the matchup, and gives you a little bit more time to prepare, which is great. When did you find out about that switch up? Because I think we found out, MMA Junkie, I think, broke the story. When did you actually get the thumbs up that the fight was moved?
I think it was like 2 days before we did the interview.
Oh, okay. Oh, really? Okay. So yeah, it was a while back, which makes sense. And now that you've had a bit more time, because I know when we talked, you'd sort of just got the fight. Now that you've had a chance to kind of assess Kuniev, what do you make of him as an opponent in terms of the style matchup and everything else?
The standard heavyweight. Like, we all swing hard, and I don't see any fancy foot. He's not Gane. He's not Aspinall. He's not Volkov. He's not those guys. But he is a heavyweight. He swings hard, and he likes to make fights ugly. So, okay. And me being a wrestler, that plays into me. So, yeah. I like the matchup.
Well, and not only that, you got a lot more experience than him. Not a ton more in terms of actual fights, but I mean, you fought the who's who in the heavyweight division. How much will that pay off in this fight, do you think? I think he's got that fight with Renan Ferreira, but other than that, doesn't have a lot of notable opponents on the resume.
Yeah, I guess I always forget. Like, I was just talking about with my buddy. Like, this is year 9 for me in the UFC. Wow. So yeah, I guess I am the veteran, and it definitely helps me. I don't know if it's a disadvantage for guys, but I know I use it because once you in there, you understand. Ever since my Volkov fight where I gassed out that last round, I've just been hyper focused on being economic and being able to take advantage of the cardio and not doing overly explosive moves. I just understand what to do and what not to do in certain scenarios.
Take me through camp a bit. Who have been some of the main training partners helping you get ready for this one?
Amos, Zach, Paonga, Ty, Flores, Tyler Gates, and Ben Fry. Those are my heavyweight guys, and they all have a little different specialty. One's a jiu-jitsu guy, one's a wrestler, he wrestled at Duke, one's the striker, and one's like a Muay Thai guy. So I get a little bit of everything. And they've all grown exponentially since we've all been working together, but they still have their specialties. And I'm able to take advantage of the different problems that they're able to bring out of me from round to round, because doing a round with the jiu-jitsu guy, then doing a round with the wrestler guy, then I just constantly have to think and adapt, and I'm not able to just like coast mentally, because that happens to guys also. They'll mentally coast in rounds where they just have an easy answer already. I don't get to do that because I'm constantly having to like readjust.
Okay. I guess there's been a little bit of cross training between Factory X and your gym as well, because I know like Gaethje's been training there a bit. I know Sandhagen got to go over. I know you probably don't get to work with any heavyweights, but that must be kind of a cool thing that's going on, because I know before like it was kind of exclusive to just Factory X guys training together.
Yeah, I think it can only help. There shouldn't be any animosity unless like there's a guy at Factory X and a guy here at our gym, and they're like potentially going to fight. Okay, I could see that, but that's a very specific scenario. Besides that, I think it's good to get, like I just said, like getting different looks forces you to have to adapt, and it just brings out the best in you. And when you can bring in guys you don't get to spar with on a regular, it almost brings in that fight night feeling of like, the nerves, because you don't know exactly how fast this guy throws. You don't know if he has a head kick. You don't know if he has jujitsu or not. So you have to be hyper locked in. Those rounds are good also.
Yeah. No, that sounds good. And by the way, your team now, is it Forge Fight Club? I was trying to remember the name of it now.
Yeah, it's wild. I don't even know what's going on with that. It's been a little bit of it's dissolved a bit. Like everyone's kind of doing. Like we still spar together.
Yeah.
Which is enough for me because it's really not like I don't. It's not like I'm sparring with Sandhagen or Gaethje or Drew or Neil. I'm not sparring with those guys. It's just nice to hang out with them and like being in the room with other high caliber guys. There's a little bit of egos going around. You kind of feed off that. That's really all I get out of it. So it's not that big of a deal, and we aren't as cohesive as a team as we were in past years. But yeah, it's just that's what happens with time. People age out, people move, people get families. Like I said, this is year 9, and we've been through multiple versions. I feel like even though we're a Forge, this is like Elevation 4.0.
Yeah.
And I might be around for 5.0. I might be a coach for Elevation 5.0. But it's just name the game. It evolves, and gyms evolve also.
Your corner, usually it's, I think, Cody Donovan, Vinny Lopez. Is that going to be the same? How's that looking going into the fight?
This will be the first time I will be going in with a different jiu-jitsu professor. Okay. Instead of Cody Donovan, I will be using Foster Bailey. I've been working with him since 2018. Like we've been doing personals. He's a black belt out here. He got his black belt from Amal Easton at Easton's in Boulder, Colorado, and he's really good. And he's a bigger guy. Like he grapples how a heavyweight grapples. Like Cody was a light heavyweight, and they just move a little differently. There's a little more athleticism, a little more flexibility required for some of those techniques and moves that smaller guys want to use. When I work with Foster, we're doing it. Our movements are almost identical because we're both very large human beings. And he's a black belt, and it helps to know that I can be a large man and I don't have to do like all the little guys stuff in order to get my black belt. Benny, Foster, and Zach.
How's this fight playing out on March 8th? How do you see it unfolding?
I see him coming at me, blitzing at me, and trying to get out there, get it over with real fast, and either he walks into something like what I did to Dawkins, or he walks into a takedown and I elbow him into the shadow realm.
There's actually not a lot going on in your division right now, but there's a few like little things that are happening. One being the rankings right now. I don't know if you've seen it lately. They've got Dontel Mays in there. They've got Teixeira. Like it's kind of not looking what it used to be because they've cut a lot of fighters, including a guy that you fought, Jairzinho Rozenstriuck. Just how surprised are you that the UFC parted ways with him after that last fight?
I was very surprised, but that means that the UFC must be confident in the youth, because this kind of happened when I was the young heavyweight. Like there was like the Ben Rothwells, the Matt Mitriones, the Mark Hunts, and then that old guard kind of just disappeared. Junior Dos Santos, and that's gonna happen again. Like in a few years, you're gonna have like Derek Lewis's, he'll be gone. John will be gone. Like I don't know. Eventually, I'll be gone. I got like 4 or 5 more years. So yeah, these guys, they're giving them a shot to make their names, and especially my homie Dontel. Very happy for him because I've been a part of his journey. We've worked out together off and on over the years. Used to have the same management, and I'm happy for him. Even though he wasn't able to get the victory in his last fight, his first one as a ranked fighter, I still believe in him, and I'm just happy that all the hard work paid off to get him here.
Yeah, and I should mention, actually, I just looking at the rankings now. It looks like he's out of the rankings. They updated it, but that Teixeira guy, the Taliesin Teixeira guy who won his last fight, he's in there. You got Kennedy and Cheku, Mick Parkin. So it's just looking a lot different.
Heavy, right?
Yeah, he did. Yeah, he was. He trains out of Fortis.
Okay,
he
yeah,
used to fight at 205. So yeah, I guess my next question is like kind of seeing what they did to Jairzinho. Any concerns with you if things don't go well in this fight that you might get released just because the UFC, like you said, is going for more of a younger movement? Not that you're old, but did that cross your mind at all when you saw Jairzinho get cut?
It didn't, because I think I'm more exciting than Jairzinho. I think I've had better victories than Jairzinho, and I beat Jairzinho, so I do believe I'm better than he is. It just, um, how old is he? How old is Jairzinho?
He is like getting close to 40, so he is older than you for
Well,
sure.
yeah. I think that was also like a big factor. He is a bit older.
Yeah, so he is. I'm just looking up his age. He's 36. So I mean, he's closer to 40 than 30. But you know,
I just turned 34, so I guess
there you go. 2 years. Yeah.
Maybe I'm on the precipice, but I guess we'll see how the fight goes. And I do what I'm supposed to do. I do expect a new contract.
Yeah. Well, and I think also just in the matchmaking, right? Like there was people that surprised they even made this fight with you and Kuniev. You just fought Aspinall and now you're fighting down. So that's kind of, again, I know your job is to go in there and win the fight, but there's also the optics of the division. So I was just kind of curious your thoughts on that. Like a guy like Tai Tuvasa, entertaining fighter and all that, he's still, in the UFC. And I mean, no disrespect by that, but if you look at the wins and losses, Jairzinho's done. I mean, I think if you're going by wins and losses, I think that Jairzinho, I think if you look at his record overall, has been more successful than Tai Tuvasa has. But I think that says that the UFC still sees him as a commodity that's entertaining, and maybe not the same with Jairzinho, right? So,
I think Tai is really surviving off that Derek Lewis win.
Mm-hmm.
Like that was a great win. Like he knocked out Derek Lewis, and that should give you a long leash. I think it has given him a long leash, but eventually that leash will start to shorten up. So we'll see if he can find a victory. Is he up next soon? Is he ranked still?
Tai, yeah, he is.
Oh shit.
And here's the thing, and just so people don't think I'm being a hater or anything, like Tai's lost 5 in a row. That doesn't happen in the UFC too often.
No. And he's not old. I know he's younger than me.
Yeah, he's 31, so not by a ton, but yeah. Anyway, so
that's wild.
Yeah, well, we'll see. Again, we'll see what happens. As the rest of the year with the division. But I just thought that was interesting. Do you think? Because I don't know if Francis is going to fight anyone in PFL. Like now they're talking about him fighting Deontay Wilder. Jairzinho could be a fight, I suppose, but I don't know. Like I just don't know who right now is a good fight for Francis in PFL. Like I don't even, maybe Nemkov. I'm not sure.
There might not be one. If I'm Francis, I'm really just, because I know Francis is 5 years older than me, so he's almost 40. He doesn't have any of these left in that body. So if I'm him, I'm just hunting like the money fights. Like if Bare Knuckle offered him like $5 million, I would do that if I were him.
Yeah.
Or if whatever organization is willing to give him the bag, that's where I would go. And if that's PFL, but I just, like you said, like who is he going to fight for that type of money? I don't know.
Yeah, I'm kind of keeping tabs on that. What about Aspinall? Obviously, you fought him last. We still don't have a fight booked with him, and I don't know which way. I really don't know which way they're going to go.
I just spoke to him.
Oh, you did? Okay.
I DM'd him this morning because I was just like, yo, what's going on with Jon? Like,
yeah.
We both agree. Like, I think Jon just enjoys being on, like, trending. I think he just enjoys it. And I didn't say, I know we spoke about this last time. I was like, no, Jon's not scared. Now, like, I don't know if he's not scared, but I think he's apprehensive. Like, he's, because they're acquiescing to all his demands, and he just keeps adding on demands. Like, well, you got to give me this also. They're like, okay. He's like, well, you got to give me this too. So I don't know what he's doing. I don't know what he's trying to get, but I'm losing hope. I don't think they're going to fight.
I said this for a while, and to me, it's not. I don't think Jon's scared of him, but I think the risk of losing is greater than what it would be if he got the win. Does that make sense? Like, I think that the juice is not worth the squeeze for him, so to speak.
I think the only reason if I'm Jon and I take the fight is so people can ever say I wasn't really the heavyweight champion. Because right now, that's always going to be like, there's always an asterisk because they tossed in Gane. That's not a real heavyweight fight. Even though it was Gane, like he didn't did not deserve that interim title shot. It should have been. Well, no, Ngannou was but they should have. He needs to fight a legitimate heavyweight,
Mm-hmm.
and even though he beat Stipe was old. Like he beat an old Stipe.
Mm-hmm.
He needs a legitimate heavyweight opponent, and that's Aspinall. So if he doesn't take it, that's him just allowing people to always have that asterisk next to his name, and I wouldn't want that. But that's me.
No, but I think he's trying to sell it to the fans, like the casual fans that like, well, I beat Stipe. He's the best heavyweight ever. I won the title from Cyril Gahn. Like to me, that, you know what I mean? Like there are fans that probably think that's like, oh, he's fought everyone good. Why does he need to fight? Right. So, but the hardcores, like people who follow the sport closely, know that the Aspinall fight was the one that should have happened. So that's kind of what I see. I guess on that note as well, did you see Jon on Instagram Live last week about, did you see that whole thing about, he said, I'm going to kill someone?
Yeah. I heard something about it. I didn't see like what's going. Is he having like a?
I don't know, but it was a little bit concerning. I don't know I haven't heard any follow up from that, so I'm not sure. But I don't know if that's something you saw or not. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know at all. So yeah, we'll have to see.
He's always. This is what we're used to with Jon Jones. He's always doing something like the most outrageous stuff. Like, why are you going on Instagram Live and saying you're gonna hurt people? I don't understand.
Yeah, I don't get that either. So with that said, and by the way, that's so cool that you and Aspinall still like keep in touch and everything. Do you think he fights Gahn or Volkov? Because here's why I think Volkov. Maybe.
I think it'll be Gahn.
Well, I think Volkov could possibly get it for the reason of Dana thought he won the fight, and we've seen before where like remember Aldo fought Marlon Moraes, and I think people felt like Aldo
would be a better fight. I think Volkov is better than Gahn. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I would not hate it if it went to Volkov.
Yeah, but saying that Gahn's a fresh matchup too, so it's like whereas him and Volkov fought, although I think it would be a different fight in the sense of Volkov's got a lot better, right? So, anyways, okay. Two more quick things I wanted to ask you about. What did you think of this? Again, we mentioned UFC Seattle are supposed to fight on the card. What did you make of the main event with the eye poke?
I mean, after seeing it in real time, it's always different than when you look at the replay and they slow it down. It looks way more painful. And then looking at the after photos, it looked like he did have a scratch corner. And I've been eye poked. I know people think it's stupid, but sometimes you get poked in that, just like the right angle, the right depth, it can mess you up. Now, I'm not going to give no excuses. Eye pokes happen all the time in sparring. That's why when it happened, you don't stop. You keep sparring because you want to get used to it. So am I going to say he was looking for a way out? I don't know. I'm not going to attack his manhood like that, especially with a guy with a resume like that. He must have been legitimately hurt.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, do you also think, because I think at the presser, Dana kind of made it out like Song was clearly winning the fight, but I thought it was fairly competitive. I mean, I think the tide was turning.
I thought it was pretty competitive.
Yeah. So I was curious your thoughts on that, because and then Dana says it doesn't look like rematch next. So I think they're kind of moving on from it. I don't know. I kind of got the vibe that Dana's not a big fan of Henry after that whole thing. So I don't know.
No. That's one thing I'll give to Dana. He let you know when you're on his bad side, like what he did to me after the Volkov fight. He let me know.
Yeah, that's true. Just last thing I wanted to ask you about, doesn't have anything to do with your division, but obviously it's making some news. Ilia Topuria vacating his title, and it looks like it's either Islam next or somewhere at lightweight. How do you think he'll do in that weight class? Because obviously he's got some serious knockout power, and that could be very intriguing.
I think the only issue for him would be the grappling, but he must be confident in his grappling or his defensive wrestling to make this move. But I feel like on the feet, like just hands, he can hold his own with a lot of those guys. But the wrestling, we have to see. Like, you give him an Oliveira, like, I think Oliveira can get him on the ground. He's going to have to prove me wrong.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's interesting, actually. Topuria has more submission wins than knockouts. The striking sort of came as his career went on, and we've seen more of it on display, but he has like 8 submission victories, which is kind of interesting. So that's where things get a bit interesting. And I wonder, if he wants to train with someone that's got good wrestling, obviously different weight class, but Merab and him are buddies. They're both Georgian, right? So maybe that can help. So I don't know.
That would help for sure. Merab is, that's probably the number one partner. Regardless of what, I'd like to work with Merab. I can learn some stuff. I know I can. Yeah,
and just actually something I just thought of, because you mentioned talking to Aspinall. Would you two ever train together? Is that something you guys have discussed?
Yeah, we discussed it briefly, like after the fight. Like I was just like, I know when a mofo is good, and Aspinall is really, really, really good. So I would love, and I don't get to like spar with high level guys. I'd love that. So I think one day we will. Yeah, I see it.
Love it, Curtis. Thanks for doing this. We survived the emojis. It's all great. If there's anyone you want to thank before we get out of here, any sponsors, any social media you want to mention, I'll give you the last word.
I would like to give a shout out to My Fit Foods. It's a local meal prep spot out here in the Denver area. They've been hooking it up. They don't sponsor me, but they give me a fat discount just because they're fans. And they give me like a half off discount. So I really do appreciate that.